What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. I'm excited for this episode. Got Hunter Ballew here. Man, dude, your background's insane. I've been admiring you from afar, just kind of seeing what you've built. As someone that I got a lot going on too, but man, like, dude, I don't hold a candle to your resume. Some things I want to rattle off. Roofing.com. If you've ever heard of roofing.com, Hunter is the mastermind behind that. RoofCon, RepCard, Cornerstone Construction. I want to get into a little bit about, some of the things you've done with that, man. But I'm just grateful to have you here. I'm hoping maybe you can share some insights on what you've built, how you manage it, and more importantly, shed some light on really, building a contracting business from the ground up. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, how you got started in this.
Yeah, man. Always love hopping on these things and getting to share a little bit of the backstory. And hopefully, my goal is always to show people what's possible. Because I'm not the smartest guy out there. I get a lot of credit, but really it's just from building a really good team with people that are a lot smarter than I am, and catching some lucky breaks along the way. So, yeah, man, been super blessed. I can kind of jump into the background right now if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I know. I mean, give it to us.
Yeah, yeah. So born, raised, and stayed in Travelers Rest, South Carolina, metropolis, couple thousand people here. Used to be real small town. Now
One
it's
red
growing.
light.
I guess we got yeah, we got like 8,000 people now, and a sushi restaurant that I'm gonna go tear up some sushi and hibachi tonight. Me and my wife just finished a 7 mile hike up in the mountains, and
Wow.
I'm starving, so I'm excited for some sushi tonight. Yeah, so I was born here, raised here, went to school here. After school, for anyone that knows my story, both of my parents were addicts. Kind of split me and my brothers up. They went to one set of grandparents. I went to another set of grandparents, and just throughout school, I was always trying to figure out what I was going to do, to just create my own life, create my own name, my own legacy. And that's always been something really important to me. From a young age, I remember thinking my life is going to be different. I don't want to just be average. I don't want to just live paycheck to paycheck. I want to have a life that's more than average. And so, right out of high school, I went to the Marine Corps. I did that for 6 years as a Marine Corps Reserve, and full time as a firefighter EMT for 5 years,
Wow.
and just kind of did those both at the same time. And then in 2015, December 22nd of 2015, I just got out of the Marine Corps. And so I stepped away from the fire department as well. It was right after I lost one of my former partners at the fire department. He passed away, and he was young. He was 30 years old. I was 24 at the time, had just gotten married. And it was like a foundational moment for me, man, just to realize that, as cliche as it is, and you hear people say it like we're not promised tomorrow, it's so
Sure.
true. It's so true. And so in that moment, I promised to make it count. And I ended up writing a book about it called Make It Count. And the start of the book is all about Jordan and how that one moment for me like changed my perspective on life completely. And so for me, man, like it's really like a continuation of Jordan's legacy at this point. It's like, how do
Wow.
I continue to make an impact on other people and continue his legacy, even though he's not here to do it himself? So yeah, left the fire department not long after that, and started the game of entrepreneurship. Didn't really know what I was going to do. I had started like a moving company called Upstate Hauling Delivery while I was at the fire department. I was buying and selling boats and cars and trailers and like
Wow.
anything you could make money on Craigslist back in the day. I was doing it. But you know how that is, man. You get burnt out talking to people and having to deal with people. And so pretty quickly I was like, all right, how do I build an actual business? It started with me learning marketing when I left the fire department, and some of my first clients were roofers in the contracting space, and helped them grow really fast. And so then it was like, okay, maybe I'll start Cornerstone as a case study. And if I can get it to $1 million, then from there, I felt like it'd be easier to sell people, because I didn't realize like seven figures isn't that much in contracting. Like I thought it was a lot, because to me at 24 years old, I'm thinking like $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. I'm so fixated on that number. My goal that I told people over and over and over from the time I was, 18 to 24 was like, I'm going to be, or even after 24 was, I'm going to be a millionaire by 30. And so I was so fixated on seven figures, and quickly realized seven figures isn't that much money, especially when you're talking revenue, not net profit.
Sure.
So yeah, started Cornerstone really just as a case study, man. And 2017 is when we launched that. Did it, like hired a couple sales reps, but didn't take it real serious until the end of 2018. And then the January of 2019 is when I really got serious about Cornerstone and started growing that. That year we had some good growth, rolled into 2020. By the end of 2019, I was like, man, I miss the fire department. I miss,
Wow.
the Marine Corps. Like I miss that camaraderie. I didn't miss the politics of it, but I missed the camaraderie. And so started RoofCon and Revolt our mastermind. And so it actually started as Bold Brotherhood. And I wanted to make it to where someday we could have women involved. And now, we're at that point where we have lots of female members as well. So we ended up pivoting and call it Revolt instead of Bold Brotherhood. But yeah, it didn't take long, man. I remember specifically end of 2018, I was like still doing consulting and some marketing and stuff. And I remember saying, you know what, I'm going to go all in on Cornerstone. I'm not going to focus on anything else. And I made it like 6 months. Like the struggle of an entrepreneur, man. It's like
Tough,
being a
man.
squirrel,
Spitting that time, dude.
Yeah, man. Like it was 6 months. June came, and I was like, man, I got to start something like to start hanging out with other entrepreneurs, and so started Revolt, and then did our first event for Revolt in August of 2019. And one of the guys walked up to me and was like, man, we need something like this for the roofing industry specifically. And so me being me, I'm like, all right, what can I call it? And I start Googling names. I found RoofCon and I bought roofcon.com. And then in 60 days from that point, 90 days from that point, November of 2019, we had the first ever RoofCon. And so since then, it's grown. We had like 39 people at the first one and 10 vendors. And last year we had
Saw that, dude.
5,200 people. Yeah.
Dude, that's insane. All right, there's a lot to digest. Let me break that up a little bit, brother. So you're scaling Cornerstone. What was the process of the acquisition? I mean, like, how did you facilitate that? I mean, what were you mentally ready? You were mentally ready to let that go. Like,
No, I
that's
really wasn't. I really wasn't. No. So like 2020 was our first year that we broke through eight figures to like 15 million in sales or so. And to be honest with you, man, our net was horrible. It was horrible because
really
we had
a lot.
invested so much money into growth. I bought a ton of trucks, wrapped a ton of trucks, opened up new offices. And so it didn't really matter to me because I had no thought of selling at all. Like
Really,
I wasn't ready. And so I joined two masterminds because I knew at some point I was going to want to sell, and I was just
right?
interested in M&A. And I'm like, nobody's really doing it in the space. At least at this point, this is 2020. Like now, everybody sees private
M&A.
equity
What does that stand for?
mergers and acquisitions,
Okay, M&A.
and then like PE for private
Sure.
equity. Everybody sees it now, but in 2020, like that wasn't a thing. They were still real heavy in the HVAC space, not
Yeah,
even touching the roofing space.
right,
And so I joined these two masterminds. I'm like, yeah, I want to learn how to build the value of the company. And I'm so
right,
glad I did, man, because I learned some very valuable stuff on how to just get exponential growth in the enterprise value of your company. And within 30, maybe 60 days, I think it was like within 30 days of
wow,
joining one of the masterminds, one of the guys that ran one of those two masterminds comes to me. He's like, hey, man, I know a guy trying to buy roofing companies. You should talk to him. And I'm like, dude, we're not ready. Like my net doesn't look that good. I know it doesn't look that good because I've been investing in growth.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
he's like, well, dude, it'd be worth flying out, meeting him, doing the negotiation. It's worth the experience. And I was like, you're right. I'll do that for sure. Because this dude, is a mentor to me. And I'm like, yeah, you're
yeah,
right for sure. So I fly out, meet the guy. I'm showing him all the stuff we've built out, systems, processes, because we had stuff dialed in like really good, especially for a roofing company.
right,
And I mean, just right there at the table, man, he starts throwing out numbers before he really sees anything beyond like what I'm showing him and our CRM. And so I'm like, wow, with these numbers, like, yeah, maybe we can work a deal. And by the end of it, it's all public. You can look it up, Yahoo press releases, all that stuff. $48 million deal. We closed in March of
wow,
2021. And so, it was
amazing.
wild.
Good for
Yeah,
you, man.
about a year later, they couldn't make whole. I had what was called a make whole provision in my contract, thank goodness, because I didn't know what that was. They actually included that in there, and it kind of bit them in the butt. But now that I know, I would never do another deal without something like this. But a make whole provision is basically like, hey, if the stock, because it was a public company that bought us, so if the stock dips and the value of your shares plus the cash that you got are not equal to $48 million, we'll give you more shares to make up with it. Well, the shares dropped significantly. That was like right after the
Really?
election and Biden got in. Like it was a year just constant down. It went from like $1.20 a share to like 36 cents a share. So they owed me over 100 million shares, and we got in this big nasty lawsuit. It ended up working out great for me, man. I got to keep the cash, got to keep millions in shares, got my company back. They ended up. I don't think they're under, but like if you go look them up, they look like they're pretty much under.
Sure,
So
sure.
yeah, it's not as glorious as people think it is when they read the press release and they're like, "Oh, Hunter sold this company for all this," but it was a great learning experience, man. Like
Sure.
once you go through that and you learn all
So what do
the
you get, shares in the private equity along with,
well,
or
this is different because it was public. It was public, yeah. But
oh,
but you can get shares if it's a private equity deal. Depending on how they structure the deal, you can get shares. You can roll back in part of your equity. Like so, what a lot of guys do when they sell a company is, I'll come in. Let's say I'm private equity. You own the company. We'll come in. We value it. It's worth $10 million. We'll give you 6 million, and then there'll either be an earnout or you'll roll that other 40% in, the 4 million in, which gives you equity or shares in the entire deal. And the goal is to grow collectively. And what happens a lot of times is
value
that
those shares, you
second
resell those
bite,
shares. Yeah.
yeah, the second bite ends up being bigger than the first bite, even though it's less technically.
Were you contracted to stay on as, what were you, CEO? Obviously, I mean, was
Yeah, no,
there
I actually wasn't even CEO of Cornerstone at that point. In
really?
January 1st of 2021, before I met these guys, I had turned it over to Walker, who's currently the CEO.
Wow.
They did offer me to take over as the CEO of SRC, the entire thing, in May of 2021, and then I ended up turning that down like right before we were going to go live with it. A lot of backstory there, but that's really when everything started going downhill. There was
Wow.
just some things that I saw inside the company that I felt like were unethical, and to be
Yeah,
honest with you, man, I just didn't want the liability of it. I was like, man, I'm
sure.
taking a lot of liability, and this is like a public company. There are thousands of shareholders that have invested money into this company, and it doesn't matter if I've done the bad things or not. If I'm the one at the head, I'm going to get
Yeah.
blamed for it. And dude, you cannot imagine. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, looks like you froze for a minute. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I could put everything into a book, man. Like the messages of love that I got, the messages of hate that I got. Like, dude, people would
Really?
message me when the stock was doing bad, talking about my kids. And I'm like, dude, I'm from the country. I'm like, bro, I'm ready to meet right now in the Waffle House parking lot. Like, we're not gonna do that,
Wait, you're talking about shareholders messaging you over
Yeah,
this?
dude, just like shareholders that publicly would go out and they might have $1,000 in shares. Now, I'm not talking like they got $1 million in shares. They could have, but a lot of these guys
Yeah.
probably had $1,000 in share. And if the stock was
Wow.
doing bad, they'd message me and blame me or message the CEO. Like
Dude.
it's wild,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah,
Talk about exposure. I mean, again, like, you're a kid that came from like uncertainty, and
yeah.
you built this thing. How many years did it take you to build it to that point?
Well, really, like two full-time years. I started it in middle of 2017, but I didn't really start pushing Cornerstone until January of 2019, and then we sold it
I mean,
in March of
how did you hit
2021.
that exponential growth? Was it just, did you just like focus on like sales teams? Like what, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
like
I'm,
it
I'm
was just,
writing. I'm writing my second book right now. It's actually almost finished. It's headed off to my publisher for edits next week, and it's called Unlocking Eight Figures. And one of the pieces that I put in there was when we got to a chapter called Mastering Sales, and I just say over and over in all capital letters: hire, 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 hire
wow,
sales reps. Like as much as it sucks, man. Like when you're hiring sales reps to a degree, and there's going to be people that hear this and they're like, "Oh, you're a piece of crap. Don't treat people like that. They're not a number." I'm not saying they're a number. What I'm saying is you're going to have people that come in and take their job seriously, and they're professionals, and they do the training, and they put in the work, and they do great. And you're going to have people that come in and don't do any of that.
right,
And you can vet as hard as you want to on the front end. Like our front end process, man, our recruiting funnel, the videos they have to watch, the personality types they have to take, the application they have to do, the phone interview before the real interview. Like it's it's not easy, like to get in the office and get the actual interview for us. But we still miss, man. And it's like you got to go through them to find the right ones that are fit for your team. So for me, man, it was just like, how do I hire and find the right people? And then when I get the right people, how do I train them well and equip them well? And so for me, a saying that I've said so many times is, we're going to give you the tools, the training, the technology you
Right.
need.
Right.
So for us, that's what it was, man.
Dude, at what point, how many salespeople did you have at one point?
Oh, we usually stay around 15 or 20.
Wow. Are they generating their own leads mostly, or are they mostly
Yeah,
taking?
yeah, a lot. It's probably split like 50-50. We get a lot of referrals,
Sure.
Google, Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice, man. So you pivot from there. This revolt, I mean, the things that you're touching, man, they turn to gold. I mean, you're putting a lot of attention into this stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it always looks like that from the outside, man. We still
I mean,
have
it does.
seasons
I
where
know
we
that there's things.
struggle.
Yeah, I know there's things behind the scenes too, but like
Yeah,
just some of the things you shared. Like for example, like I think I saw a post where you were talking about how 30 people showed up to the first RoofCon, and it's like,
yeah,
man, that would discourage a lot of people from going all in. And you see a marketing video, you got Jesse Itzer, one of the headline speakers there, like this year. Like, I mean, dude, that's a powerhouse event that like takes a lot of behind the scenes grit, a lot of uncertainty for someone that had an exit. It's like, do you just thrive in execution? Like, what is that thing that's driving you to produce such amazing, results from the outside? I know it's not all pretty on the inside, but like, what is
yeah.
that in you that's allowing you to do that? Because these things are impressive, man.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, when you build a team and you see your team thrive and hit their personal goals, like for us, man, all the things that I teach to our Revolt members in our mastermind, like I do that with our actual team too. So like our 6 bricks framework that we have for goal setting, I do that with our team because I want to know their actual goals. Like, what are your health, wealth, faith, growth, relationships, legacy goals? What are those? Because we want to help you hit that. And then the same thing at all of our events. And so, like RoofCon, dude, I was discouraged. Like, I was in the back, super discouraged, and not even discouraged, embarrassed. I was embarrassed because we had some of the best people in the roofing industry commit to come speak at that thing. Like 6 really good dudes that at that point in 2019 were like influencers in the space. And I remember walking up to one and just telling him like, "Hey man, I'm sorry." I apologized to him. I was like, I'm sorry you came all the way here and there's 39 people here. And he put his hand around me. He's like, dude, all it takes is us changing one life. And man, I'm not kidding. If there was 39 people at that event, like 38 of them after the event were just texting me saying, best event I've ever been to. This is amazing. We need more of
Wow.
this. I hope you do it again. And so it changed everything. Like I went from being embarrassed at the event, thinking, and dude, I knew I was going to be embarrassed before we even got to the event because I could just see that the momentum wasn't there. I didn't even let my wife come to it. I was embarrassed, bro. Like, yeah,
Wow.
she still
Wow.
gives me hell about that because she's like,
Yeah.
I can't say I was at all the roof cons because you wouldn't let me come. I was embarrassed, man,
You're
for
like,
real.
no, I need to do this one. I need to
Yeah.
do this.
So it was in Nashville, and yeah, man, I just knew, and there's fear because that was like my first, I
Sure.
say, bigger event. What I thought was going to be a little bit bigger of an event, but not real big. Um, and so yeah, like the next year we went all in. I mean, the growth from that year, 39 people, to the next year, we had 881 and 50 vendors. Yeah. And that
What?
was in 2020 during COVID. But it was like, it was
Wow.
all other people talking about it, man, because we
Sure.
just did something different in the industry. Like all the other events, now, I'm not knocking them, or they were about money and like how to grow your business. And we're like, no, it's not just that. Like we'll talk about that too, but it's leadership development, personal development, and like, how do you stay married? Because for me, this isn't important to everybody. Everybody can do their own thing. But for me, man, like, I want to be a billionaire, but not if I can't have my wife and kids with me. Like that's for me, that matters.
One of the
Like,
big
I've
old
not
empty house.
won if I lose them along the way. And so,
Yeah.
and even if we take it a level deeper than that, like, for my kids to do better than me, there's some people that probably have like a subconscious belief of like, oh, I don't want my kids to do better than me. Nah, man, like I want my kids to do better than me.
Sure.
And so just teaching them along the way. So yeah, man, just super blessed. The event's growing every year. This year we might actually plateau a little bit. Right now, in terms of like the forecasting, and if we're looking year over year, we're on track to be more than in the past. But the problem is with events, you just never know till the last 30 days, man. Like 90% of our sales come in the last 30
That's
days. It's
crazy.
yeah, it's a pain, man. I mean, we've had years, 2022, with Tebow there speaking, and John Maxwell and Nick
Sure.
Santosasso. Like, we lost $1 million on that event. And yeah, there's
Wow.
just been some tough years, and it's like I've never gotten to the point where I was like, I'm shutting it down, but there's certainly been moments where I question it, and I'm like, is it really worth it? Like, we're helping people, number one, getting exposure. We know it drives people to Revolt. We probably make up some money there. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's not easy to run an event, get people there, and get vendors signed up. And people don't realize how big of a thing it is. Like, I have a team of people full time, year round, working on that one event that's going to last for 3 days.
Unbelievable. Dude,
Yeah.
to hear it behind, and you did most of that early on, I'm sure, like just coordinating, facilitating, checking out the venues, working out
Yeah,
the
really,
deal.
really just the funny backstory actually. I love sharing the story. So the first year in Nashville, I had my assistant book it. And so my one of my buddies, I asked him where we should do it in Nashville. He's like, "Oh yeah, do it at the Opryland." And so I tell my assistant, she's like, "Okay, I booked it." I pull in, she sent me the address. I pull in, I'm the first one there. I go a couple days early to check it out. And I
Sure.
walk in and dude, there's like freaking nasty red and green carpet from like the
Oh
70s.
no.
There's a hot tub inside of this place, like in the center with a huge hairball. And I'm
Sure.
like, dude, what is this place? This is
Sure.
not nice. And so I'm texting my buddy Pate. I'm like, dude, this place is not nice. What are you talking about? And when I send him the address and he looks it up, he's like, "Bro, you're at the Opryland Inn, not the Opryland." So we go
Wow.
to the motel across the street.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, that was really the only year I've been super involved with the planning. As soon as that one was over and we knew we were going to do 2020, I hired a couple of people to start helping. And so
Yeah.
since then, man, we've had a great team to help us with all that. And same thing with like our Revolt retreats, all of our Revolt X's, a lot of those we do for free throughout the year. We've done since 2019, we've done, I don't know what we're at now. I haven't checked it in like 6 months, but I know we were over 70 events since August of 2019. So,
Wow.
yeah, we just finished our couples retreat in Costa Rica. We have the father son retreat coming up next week in Flagstaff, the Grand Adventure. We're taking all the boys and doing the Grand Canyon. So, yeah, man, we try to stay
That's
pretty
good.
active and just give entrepreneurs a place to come together and hang out.
Man, that's inspiring. Now there's another venture, RepCard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another thing you got going on. Tell me a little bit about RepCard. What is that? Where was it inspired? How did that come to play? I'm a software guy, so I'm interested in this story
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So, do you know Brad, my partner in that?
I've seen I think I've seen a post about
Okay.
him. I don't know
Yeah,
much
so,
about him though.
so Brad Mortensen, he's the CEO, he's the founder. He started it in 2019, I believe, started
Okay.
building it out part time while he was doing solar. We got, I guess the first time we met was in 2020 because they do registration for events too. And so they did RoofCon because we had a mutual friend, and my
Sure.
buddy's like, hey, use Brad, use RepCard. So we let them do RoofCon, kind of hit it off there. The next year we were at IRE, the International Roofing Expo, and just walking through the venue and saw each other and started talking. And he's talking about the product and how he really wants to take it to the next level. And I don't remember exact words, but he had said something that was like, might be looking for an investor. And so I'm like, okay, what does that look like? How much you need? So I ended up giving him a few $100,000 to come in as a partner on that. And at the time, he was still full time into solar doing that. And that's really kind of always one of my things. If I invest in a company, I'm like, you got to go full time. Like I want it to
Sure.
be, because if you got that backup money, man, you're just not going to go all in. So I
Right.
told him, like, hey, I need you to go all in if I invest. He did. He went all in. We went from, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was around 15,000 users at the time that he had, to the last report I got was probably in January, and we were 110,000 users. I think we're for sure over 120,000 users now.
Wow.
So in 3 years, yeah, we've grown a
That-
bit, and that's companies coming on, adding their sales reps, and it's
Sure.
evolved, man. That's what's super cool is he's done an amazing job. Him, the
Yeah.
team we have
I
in
downloaded
Phoenix.
it. It's a
Yeah.
good app. It
Yeah,
really
man. Yeah, and it really is. Like,
is.
I don't just say it because I'm a partner in it. Like,
Sure.
every company that has sales reps should use RepCard. It started as just a digital business card, but it's evolved into so much more
Yeah.
with the competition aspect, the automations that you can do. Like, it's really good.
RepCard,
Yeah.
REPCARD. Check that out. App Store, Google Play. Man, Hunter, man, honestly, man, like hearing this, I mean, you didn't dive too much into your background, your Marine. Thank you, for your service. But my question to you, man, what's next, man? You're writing a new book that's exciting. The mentorship aspect of the Revolt. What is next for that? Like, is that something that you're going to continue to do ongoing, or is this going to be something that maybe you branch away from? It seems like it's something that drives you and helps with your marriage. I mean, meeting couples. I'm sure you met friends and family, like getting this entrepreneurship community together. I mean, is that the main focus for you right now at this stage of your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, man. There's a lot of moving parts, and I think I'm pretty clear on the next few years, of what I'd like to do. We're doing some cool stuff in the roofing space with Cornerstone and with some other roofing companies that we're working with and helping grow. Revolt for me, for until January of this year or April of this year, traditionally it was $30,000 to join Revolt, and what we kind of realized in the last year, man, is like we're pricing a lot of people out. We want to give more people opportunity. And then the second piece to it was if you paid $30,000 to be a part of our mastermind, you got all the events for free. So you got tickets to RoofCon, Revolt Live, the
Wow.
men's retreat, the women's retreat, couples retreat. But what we found is, life happens. And so you might want to come to couples retreat, but your son's state championship baseball tournament is that same weekend and you just can't make it. And then it's like, well, dang, man, that guy kind of wasted like
Yeah.
$5,000 because we attributed that money to the couples retreat. And
Right.
so we completely changed our model this year to where you can get started for 10 grand if you pay up front or as low as 1250 a month. And so I'm really excited about that. We've always kind of just kept it around 100 members, and now we've got it to where we want to grow it to a few hundred members and just reach more people.
Yeah.
Like my life mission that I tell people all the time is to develop millions of leaders that go on to impact billions of lives. And so I just realized, like, to do that, I got to reach more people. And if
For
that
sure.
means lowering the price point to reach more people, more business owners, like the one percenters, so they can then impact their team, then
Yeah.
that's what we'll do. And so, yeah, man, Revolt's
Worthy
so
cause, man.
fun for us.
Yeah, it's a worthy cause, and I think now I have quite a bit of painting contractors that listen to this. I mean, do they have to be in the roofing space in order to interact with some of the things you got going on, or
No, we have concrete guys, we have pest control guys, we have marketing guys, we have
sure?
finance guys. Yeah, I mean there's mostly contractors, but we have people outside of contracting.
Right on, right on, man.
Yeah.
Hunter, man, you're inspiring. I'm grateful to have your presence on our podcast, man. Wishing many blessings to you going forward. Thank you for giving me your time, man. I think this was inspiring. I knew that asking you was a little bit of a reach, to get you on here, but thank you for your time, man. And if you guys want to connect with Hunter, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, just Facebook, man. I'm easy. I got all kind of
Yeah,
resources and tools I'm happy to
sure.
share. I talked a little bit about like knowing your numbers and stuff. We have like a clarity calculator, spreadsheets. I'm happy to share all that stuff for free. So
Awesome,
just let me know.
awesome, man. And book on Amazon now. Last time I checked, it's only was it the audiobook's $1, right?
I have no clue what it is, man. That crazy backstory there is I used a freaking publisher for my first book and I
Okay.
never got a single report, never made a single penny. And
Really?
so I like
Wait, you're
hardcore
talking about
nego
make it count. Make it count.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
At one point, he told me early on, like 2 months in, he was like over 20,000 copies, but I've never got a single actual report. And so I hardballed him for like a year and was like, hey, I want to buy my rights back. I'm not going to push the book anymore unless I can get the rights back. So about 3 or 4 months ago, I bought the rights back to the book. I've not updated everything on Amazon because apparently I'm going to lose all my reviews and I'm worried about losing all the reviews.
A lot of reviews
Um,
on there.
yeah, but the next one, man, the plan, the hope, I've not even said this like publicly on a podcast, but I'm trying so hard to get this next one launched before RoofCon, which is October 23rd through the 25th in Orlando of this year, 2024. So we're trying hard, man. We're close. It's like I said, about to go to the publisher so they can format and do all that kind of stuff, add pictures because I have a lot of
Too.
examples. And like
Yeah.
the first one was more of like a passion thing because it was about leadership and legacy. Make it count. It tells Jordan's story and all that. A bunch of exercises that I've created over the years for the retreats. The second one is business focused. It is about unlocking eight figures and how you grow to a $10 million company.
Guys, check it out. Hunter, man, thank you so much. I'm going to drop the links to whatever I can find
Cool.
in the description of this podcast. Thanks again, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you.